What's going on, guys? Sam Adams here, and welcome to The Drop, which is a weekly series I do right here on the YouTube channel. And I've been doing it for quite a while now, where I go through the top video game releases of the week and let you guys know what new games are coming out, just in case you do want to pick up something new. And this week, we have a Lego game, we have a game coming to the 3DS that's pretty interesting, we have a sequel to a game that was a big hit on mobile and won a lot of awards, so that should be pretty interesting. And to round it all out, we have a game that was originally on the Xbox One and Xbox 360, coming to PC, and then it will be coming to PS4 later in the year. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So kicking things off, we have Lego Marvel's Avengers, which is coming out on everything Xbox, everything PlayStation, everything Nintendo, and PC. So whatever you play games on, you could probably find this game on any of those consoles if they've come out within the past 5 years or so, I would guesstimate. But with Lego Marvel's Avengers, it's following the plots of the first two Avengers movies. Obviously, the third one hasn't come out yet, in addition to other sides of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But for that storyline that the game is going to follow, it will primarily follow the plots of the first two movies, so that seems like a pretty fair thing for a game that's titled Lego Marvel's Avengers. So one thing that Lego always does really well is the sheer amount of characters that they include within their games. For instance, this Lego Marvel's Avengers is going to have over 100 characters that you can play as. So this keeps things fresh. You know, if you only had 5 different characters you could play as, that kind of restricts how much you can actually play and get a new experience out of the game. But with over 100 characters, you can go back and play through this thing multiple times with different kinds of Lego characters, and you can get a completely different experience because almost each and every one of these characters has a specific set of powers that correlates with the character itself. For instance, the Hulk obviously has super strength. Captain America will obviously have a shield. Deadpool, oh, I really want to see how they deal with Deadpool because he's not exactly a kid's game kind of character, but each of these characters has an individual set of powers, and that's obviously going to bring a lot of replay value to this game. So if you're a fan of the Avengers, or if you're a fan of Legos, or if you're a fan of the Lego games, you're probably going to want to check this one out. And there is going to be a ton of DLC coming out because there is a season pass that you can buy for $9.99 that's going to have a lot of DLC rolling out over the next couple of months. But the pricing for this game is a little bit weird. So for PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and presumably PC, then you're going to be able to buy this game for your standard price of $59.99. Now, if you're getting it on the Xbox 360 or PlayStation 3, then you can get it for $49.99. So it's $10 cheaper if you're buying it on the older generation of consoles. And then if you're getting it on the 3DS or the Vita, then it's going to be $29.99. And then, of course, like I said, that season pass is going to be $9.99. So there's all your pricing stuff. But if you are a fan, like I said, of the Avengers or Legos or Lego Marvel Avengers, then you're probably going to want to pick up this one this week. Next up, we have Final Fantasy Explorers coming to the Nintendo 3DS, and this is a really co-op heavy experience, so you probably don't want to pick up this game if you don't have friends that play on the 3DS as well. But you can master over 20 jobs, which are pretty much missions, to recruit the realm's mightiest monsters, and then you can use their powers and transform into some of the most famous characters from the Final Fantasy universe. Now, this isn't really my kind of game. I'm just going to go ahead and come out and say it. It's not necessarily something that I am really interested in playing, but this kind of genre really does lend itself to the Nintendo 3DS, and so for those of you that do have a 3DS and you are interested in picking up a new game for it, this is one that I would guess is going to function pretty well on the 3DS and has a ton of hours of gameplay for you to put into it, and it's going to be $39.99. and once again, this is a 3DS exclusive, which means it's going to have a lot more attention from the developer to make sure the game runs really well on the 3DS, as opposed to some games that might be multi-platform and be somewhat neglected on the handheld consoles. Next up, we have This War of Mine, The Little Ones, coming to PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it should come to PC at some point, but I couldn't really find anything about that on the website. But This War of Mine, the first game in the franchise, was a huge hit on mobile and was a pretty big hit on Steam back in the day. A couple of years ago, I think it was in 2014, it ended up getting a lot of awards because of how emotionally impacting the experience was and how dark the story actually ended up being. But with This War of Mine, The Little Ones, it's kind of taking an even more dark turn to the story because it focuses primarily on how kids are treated during a time of war in a world that's being torn apart by different nations fighting. So that's a pretty interesting concept. I like where it's going with it, and the gameplay seems to be pretty similar to Fallout Shelter. You pretty much just have to make sure that there are resources, that there's food and water, and that within this game that the kids are entertained, that they're smiling, that they're safe, and that you pretty much just, you know, supply the needs of everyone within the base. Now there is a day-night cycle, and during the day no one can go out of this bunker because there are snipers trained on the doors at all times, so you will get killed if you do go outside. So during the day is when you're going to be doing the crafting, gathering resources, crafting toys for the kids to keep them happy and entertained. This is when you're going to be doing all of the in-base stuff. Now during the night you can gather up people and go out on missions and scavenge for resources in the surrounding towns, and so then you would come back and you have more items to craft and whatnot, and it's pretty much just that never-ending cycle trying to sustain life during war with all of these kids, trying to keep them entertained and you know, trying to raise them to be pretty well-rounded functioning adults in a society that just doesn't lend itself to that kind of lifestyle. This seems like it's going to be a pretty good game if you have some time to kill and you have an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4, and it's definitely going to be pretty good if you played this war of mine on mobile or Steam back in the day. It's nice to see this franchise branching out to consoles, and it's definitely going to be an emotionally impacting experience. I mean, that's just kind of what you would expect from any time kids are involved in war. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, once again, it's coming to the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 this week. Last but not least, we have Rise of the Tomb Raider coming to the PC for $59.99, and this game actually came out late last year on the Xbox One and Xbox 360 as a timed exclusive, and I have to say that this was one of the more impressive games that I actually played in 2015. It really grabbed my attention. I couldn't put it down over the course of a couple of days. If I had finished it before the first of the year, I probably would have given it my game of the year, but unfortunately I didn't finish it until about a week ago, so it's still fresh on my mind, and it does have a very impressive story. I'm not going to go too deeply into it. I did make an entire video on it, which I will link down below in the description box if you are interested in watching my thoughts on it. But pretty much you play as Lara Croft, surprise, you know, Tomb Raider game, and her dad had his name kind of, you know, decimated. It was defamed in the scientific community because he did believe that there was this source, and it's pretty much just a source of eternal life that was lost in the mountains in a kind of a freak accident over the course of a ton of years. And she goes out to find it and regain her father's fame. You know, she's trying to make him famous again, trying to clear his name, so to speak. And so then some stuff happens with this company named Trinity, and there's kind of a conflict there, and then she runs into some indigenous people of the area, and there's a conflict there, and then there's a conflict within herself. Tons of conflicts in this game, really deep and engrossing storyline. Kudos to Crystal Dynamics for making this game and bringing it to the PC, and for what I hear as far as the PC port goes, the game is running beautifully. I hear that it is absolutely gorgeous, and it's not skimping on graphics whatsoever, so that's obviously a good thing to hear. It's nice to see that they're not going for congruency between the Xbox One versions and the PC versions, but of course, if you don't have an Xbox One, an Xbox 360, or a PC, it is coming to the PS4 later this year, and presumably the PlayStation 3, because it is coming out on the Xbox 360, or I guess it did come out on the Xbox 360, but I guess we're just going to have to see. It should be out later this year, probably around November or the 1st of December, somewhere around that time. We don't have a defined release date, but it is coming out this week on the PC if you are a PC gamer, and it did come out on the Xbox One and Xbox 360 late last year, like I said. So there you guys have it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you did, drop me a like down below and comment what games you are looking to pick up this week, if you are looking to pick up anything at all. And if you are new to the channel or you've never seen any of my other content, I do upload new stuff like 3 or 4 days a week depending on the week, so there's always something new right here on the channel when you drop by to watch some videos. And as always, I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this particular video. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.